So greetings and salutations, sports cards fans. There's another video from your friend Andy. Hope everybody's doing well. So this is a VR that I put together for my buddy John P., who requested us to do a video response to his milestone of hitting 1,000 subscribers. Way to go, John. That's awesome. Certainly well-deserved. You're a great ambassador for our hobby, and I really appreciate watching your videos and your content. Always enjoy that. So anyway, today I'm going to show a couple of players. He asked us to talk about 3 players we would have loved to have seen during their playing days in baseball, and so that's what I'm going to do. To make it a little more interesting, I required also of myself that I have at least 2 cards of the players that I want to talk about, so I could dig. So I am digging a little deeper into my collection to see what I've got, and I came up with 3 choices, and I'll talk about them next. So I'm going to flip around the camera, do a little hand modeling, and show off the 3 players that I've picked. And anyway, one more time, John, congratulations on the milestone. Certainly well deserved. And let me flip the camera around and show you what I got. So the first player on my list is Van Lingle Mungo. Here's his 1940 play ball card. So Van was an interesting player, an interesting character. As a pitcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers in the late 30s, early 40s, he was notorious for his antics both on and off the field. Some of the stories about his behavior are legendary. Casey Stengel once said anecdotally that he would tell Van he doesn't take no nonsense and then duck. Casey's typical wisdom. But there are also stories of him being told by other players that he would be much more effective as a pitcher had he not tried to strike out everybody. To which Van replied he wouldn't be interested in striking everybody out if he had more confidence in the defense of the players playing behind him. So I also have a 1934-36 Diamond Star card, which is a beautiful card. It's the only card I have from that set is this one. So other stories, Van had proclaimed that he had paid more in fines for his behavior than any other player in history. It's certainly possible. But also he got into some situation in Cuba where a jealous husband chased him with a butcher's knife, in which they had to then sneak him out of the country. So Van obviously wasn't a fantastic pitcher, but his infamy, as well as the fact that he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers at a period of time in the 1940s, at Ebbets Field, which is a stadium obviously I've never seen, a little before my time, but that would have been great to go see him play, just for the sheer experience of what is he going to do next, plus also getting to watch a game in the famous Ebbets Field. And I work in Brooklyn, not far from where stadium used to be, and it would be awesome to go and see it. So the story for Van Lingle Mungo doesn't end with his passing. In 1969, a jazz musician named David Fishberg released a song which Van's name is the refrain in the song, and I'll put a link to a copy of the song or a video that does the song. It's been one of those things that's been around forever, but it's interesting to listen to. Van once ran into David and asked him, "Hey, am I going to get any money for using my name in your song?" And David said no. So I guess that was the end of the story. But anyway, always an interesting player, and an interesting time for the Dodgers to in their Ebbets Field location. And would have been great to go and see him play, for the sheer nostalgia of being in that stadium, as well as, what's he going to do. Anyway, that's my first player. All right, so player number 2 is Harvey Haddix, otherwise known as the Kitten. Now, Harvey was a pretty successful pitcher for about 15 years in major leagues in the early 50s to the mid-60s. He got his nickname because it was thought that he looked like Harry Rakeen, who was called the Cat. So as the younger version of Harry, he of course must be the Kitten. So 1959, and the reason why I picked Harvey wasn't because of his career, but because of one particular game that he pitched, and would have been pretty awesome to go actually be in the stadium during this. 1959, on May 26th, Harvey pitched over 12 innings of perfect ball. Here's this 1959 Topps card. And interestingly enough, and there's some great videos talking about the game in detail, and I won't really go into spend too much time on it, but he actually lost the game to Lou Burdett, who pitched over 12 innings of ball, a scoreless ball, and gave up 12 hits, but managed to keep the Pirates to 0 runs, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. Lou Burdett, his real name is Selva Louis Burdett, but Topps gave him the moniker Lou, L-O-U. Anyway, so he was quite a successful pitcher for quite a long time as well. In 1961, Topps commemorated this game, which is sort of infamous, with this card, recognizing that Harvey pitched 12 perfect innings, but lost in actually, in extra innings, and it was a legitimate loss. But it was interesting because, Hank Aaron, who was running the bases when Joe Adcock, hit his long ball, thought after the first run had scored, which was Felix Mantilla, that he wouldn't need to go any further. The game was technically over, so he ran back to the dugout. And later on, he was declared as out. So anyway, so there's some great videos on that game. But, I picked Harvey because it would have been awesome to be at the stadium, in 1959, watching this game, seeing this whole thing unfold. And I got one more card to show you. I picked this up recently. This is obviously 1962 Topps card of Harvey. And I think the 62 Topps set looks fantastic, in good condition in these holders. So there's one more sample of a Harvey Haddix card. All right, there's player number 2. So interestingly enough, even though I've cleared off the Harvey Haddix cards, there is a song also about Harvey's baseball game. And it was released in 2008. I'll put a link to it below, by a band called the Baseball Project, and it actually commemorates the Harvey's perfect game loss. And, it's interesting that both Van Mungo and Harvey have songs as part of their historical legacy. All right, so moving on to player number 3, and this one really doesn't need much introduction. Obviously, Teddy Ballgame is one of the greatest ball players of all time, and I just thought it would have been awesome to have seen him play. There's my 57 Topps version of his card, and just great all-around ball player. Really don't need much explanation other than it would have been great to see him play, at Fenway Park in Boston or just about anywhere. And here's my second card of him, and I've got a few others, but this one is, I just got this back from SGC. It's the 1959 Fleer card of him as an outstanding rookie. I like that. It's a great image of him. You can kind of see the contrast and the physique of Ted Williams from, like late 30s to the late 50s. Swing still looks the same. Anyway, that's my video. 3 ball players. John P., really congratulations. Wish you all the best. Continued success with your channel. Thanks for checking out mine, and hope everybody has a great day. Take care.